So I've got a serious question to ask y'all. I feel like I'm like kind of like 50-50 with it, but I definitely want to know how y'all feel about what I'm about to say right now. And it may seem like blasphemy, as a Friday fan, as a fan of the franchise in general, as a fan of this person I'm about to talk about, might sound blasphemous, yo. It really might, but it's a question that I really need y'all feedback on. Because, like I said, I feel like I am certified 50-50 about this. But I'm just curious, man. All right, so check this shit out. So Chris Tucker did an interview recently where again, he was talking about hitting at the Friday shit, the last Friday. Yes, in talks. So we'll see if it happens. It's really vague, the comments that he's been making all of these years. Before, he said he didn't want to come back for it and he wasn't interested. But I think the more and more I feel like the more and more that he sees Ice Cube has been passionate about this project, like this is definitely a passion project for Ice Cube. He's been trying to get this shit off the ground for so long. I think he said it was like Time Warner or something like that. Wasn't trying to come up off the money. They weren't trying to finance the film, and whatever the case may be. Maybe some of the co-stars were beefing with each other, but I feel like this is something Ice Cube has been like hell bent on making, and it's finally gotten the green light, the official green light we're getting last Friday. So with that said, man, Chris Tucker hinting at him coming back. Let me ask y'all, man. And I'm being so serious when I ask this question. This ain't no shock jock shit. I already told y'all. But if Chris Tucker wasn't to come back for this movie, do y'all still get as excited for a Last Friday movie where they're trying to get the band back together? Because like, look at movies like Coming to America where they got everybody that was at least alive and still working and available. They got all of them back together for that movie along with new cast members. Something like I want them to do the same thing with Fast and Furious, man. They just recently did it with Scary Movie. They got everybody that they could back together from the first two movies. Even had Anthony Anderson, who was in the third movie, Shaq, who was in the fourth movie. They got the band back together. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for the super nostalgia overload. As long as it doesn't turn into like a Dumb and Dumber situation where we wait like 30 something years for the sequel and then it turns out to be trash. Like no matter who you get back. But like if Chris Tucker didn't come back for this movie, does that lower y'all expectations? Is it like, all right, well, I already had two movies without him that I enjoyed, so it is what it is. I need to know how y'all feel about this because me personally, I'm 50-50 with it. Like I said, if Chris Tucker comes back for this, like there's a lot of like childhood prayers that are going to be answered, man. Like to see Smokey and Craig reunite and to get Day Day in the mix, to see Smokey and Day Day interact would be fucking amazing. Just Chris Tucker back on board for a Friday movie, man, is just gold within itself. But on the flip side of that coin, I'm like, if Chris Tucker doesn't come back, it's not like I'm not gonna see this movie. I'm still gonna see it for sure. If Chris Tucker doesn't come back, I gotta keep in mind that I had two Friday movies. One which had to grow on me. That was Next Friday. It definitely had to grow on me over time. It's not that I hated it, but I was like, yeah, it doesn't feel as good as the original, but over time I was like, yeah, I love this movie. It's funny as fuck. Underrated funny. But I had two really solid Friday movies without Chris Tucker. And Day Day was such a great comedic counterpart for somebody like Craig. Mike Epps did his thing, man, and he did it all without trying to be Chris Tucker's character Smokey. So I'm just wondering, like, if he decides not to come back, how big of a dark cloud or like a gap is that going to put over this movie, man? And I feel like every little bit does help in this situation because we lost a lot of people from the Friday movies, man. John Witherspoon, obviously, I'm gonna talk about John Witherspoon in a second, but John Witherspoon was a huge loss, yo, because he was one of the last of the Mohicans as far as the OGs go, and he was still around. He was still willing to do it. He was doing like like little mock commercials or whatever, where he was coming back to reprise the role of the character. But John Witherspoon, man, Bernie Mac, Ronaldo Ray, Yvette Wilson, AJ Johnson. What's my man name from? I can't remember what his name. Justin Perry, I believe his name was. Roach from Next Friday passed away. So many major players, man, that are no longer with us. A Tiny Zeus, you know what I'm saying? Like so many people that meant a lot to this franchise that aren't around anymore. Like they were all checking out, and I was like, when that was happening, not to sound insensitive or anything, but I was like, yo, man, we losing a lot of people. Like, we got to hurry up and get this movie made. And here I am talking like I was a part of the fucking crew. Like, yeah, man, we got to hurry up. We got a deadline tomorrow, dog. But but when John Witherspoon died, that's when I was like, nah, man, this ain't gonna work. It does not work without Pops. It does not work without Pops. But then, as time went on, I'm like, you could easily give him a small tribute, like how they did with Robin Harris, and how, like, recipe shout out to Robin Harris. He played Pops in House Party, passed away before they got a chance to do House Party 2, but he's in there, and they have, like, his voice echoing in kids' head and a picture of him, and they mention him in House Party 3. You could either do like a small mention like that, which I doubt they'll do because John Witherspoon just, like, he was in all three of the movies. Robin Harris wasn't around long enough to be in 3 House Party movies, and then we have to figure out a tribute. But John Witherspoon meant so much to the series, man, that I feel like this has to be a tribute for him along the lines of that scene in Coming to America too, where Gladys Knight was singing Midnight Train to Zamunda, and James Earl Jones' character passed away. Like, I didn't think I was going to be sad watching a movie like that. A tribute that they gave to, like, Paul Walker. Now, I know they're not going to CG John Witherspoon. I don't think they're going to do that shit in a Friday movie. But, like, the tribute they gave to Paul Walker at the end of Furious 7, I didn't think I was going to be, like, tearing up in a Fast and Furious movie. Or even the tribute they gave to Harold Ramis in Ghostbusters Afterlife, man. Like, they did Egon some justice in that shit. So, I feel like they could easily still write his character in the story, but I feel like it'll be more of an emotional impact, even in a Friday movie, if they made it so that the character did actually pass away. So that way we can say goodbye to the actor and the character. I feel like that tribute has to be on point. That tribute has to be amazing. It has to have people really in their feelings because of how much John Witherspoon meant to the series, man. I feel like everybody else, though, the cast members that have passed away, I feel like they should still be alive in the universe. Like, y'all know, like I mentioned, Fast and Furious, Paul Walker's character Brian O'Connor is still alive in the universe. They still mention him constantly, not constantly, but they still mention him where need be. So I feel like somebody should be like, oh, somebody stole something. Oh, that's probably Ezel just running around the neighborhood doing what he do. Oh, Debo, yeah, he got locked out. He getting out next week though. Like, I feel like certain characters should still be alive, just to please the fans enough to where it's like, y'all really honoring their legacy, man. Like, because if they still were around, they probably would still be in this movie. But I also feel like for the sake of the people that are no longer with us in the Friday cast, all of these actors and actresses, like, y'all need to let bygones be bygones, man. Cat Williams and Kevin Hart squash their beef. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Hart pops up in this movie, honestly. So it's good that they squash their beef, because if Kevin Hart does pop up in this movie, they already on good terms. I believe Mike Epps and Cat Williams squash they shit. I feel like the only person that is still coming off as kind of bitter and just beefing with motherfuckers is Faison Love. And every time I see this motherfucker, he's on a fucking Art of Dialogue interview or Vlad TV interview, just hating on people, man. I just don't understand it. Angela Means, who played Felicia, she said that role kind of ruined like a lot of what was going on in her life at the time or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it was definitely something where she said it was definitely a stain for her to play a character like that she never could quite get rid of. But I'm with all of these actors and actresses just letting bygones be bygones, just healing the motherfucking world and putting a band-aid on that shit and just doing it for the culture, doing it for the fans, everybody putting it aside just to make a really good, solid Final Friday movie. There are some new people that I want to see in this Friday movie, man. Like Gillian Wallow, like, they were joking, but I do want to see Gillian Wallow pop up in this shit, even if they do, as Wallow said, play like the janitors or some shit that are chasing each other around. I want to see, like we're talking newcomers or fairly new comedic actors for that matter. Drewski, put him up in here. Tiz 215, put him up in here. Chichia, put him up in here. That's a win for Philly too. I say Mojo Brooks, put him up in here, man. Desi Banks, Jack Funny. It's a lot of really good talent that they can throw in here. Not so much as a passing a baton thing, because I wouldn't want to see like a Friday spinoff or some shit like that. They did a cartoon, and we see how that ended up, but I don't know, man. I just want good things for this, man. If Chris Tucker comes back, he comes back. If he doesn't, it's not going to stop me from seeing this movie. But I'm hoping that everybody comes back on some, Avengers Assemble in the Hood type of moment. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm just glad that it's happening.